And pinBox Solutions is the world's largest, perhaps even the world's only, company that's focused on enabling low-income workers, especially low-income women, to live in old age in a far more dignified way by ensuring they have savings and a pension plan that they can rely on.
Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the Negotiator channel. I have my ex-colleague Sanjeev Kumar with me. We worked together at Royal Bank of Scotland some 2010 to 2012. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Sami. The pleasure is all mine and good to see you again after so many years.
Yeah, and I think we had a great connection then. I worked for as the relationship manager for the big Finnish multinationals such as Stora Enso, UPM and Wärtsilä. And at that time they had a great business in China in particular. And I remember me sharing your presentation on the renminbi market, for example, and it was all good stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, but a lot of things have changed since then, and I guess you sort of took a different career path than I became the CEO of Nordic Trustee after my job at Royal Bank of Scotland. What about you? You stayed there as managing director in the Asian team in charge of various activities, I understand.
Yeah, no. So look, firstly, congratulations to you on how your career went. Great to see, and as I say, good to make the connection again. So after you left, I stayed on with RBS and I ran the global corporate advisory business for the bank based out of London. So that was across London, New York, Hong Kong and Sydney. And in essence...
You had a Rupert Taylor there, a great guy. I love it.
That's right. He was a director in the team. So a great bunch of people. I then, still with RBS, moved back to Asia where I ran the client business across all corporates, FI, etc. Unfortunately, RBS then decided to exit Asia, and I moved on to another bank, a Japanese bank, MUFG, where I helped set up their business in acquisition finance, leverage finance, sponsor coverage, set up sector teams, and also ran Singapore coverage. So a wonderful journey with them, which has brought me to where we are today, where I've just left MUFG sort of only a few days ago. And embarking on the next phase of my career.
Yeah, excellent. So Mitsubishi, that's one of the big Japanese keiretsus, and also have sister companies in manufacturing and shipbuilding and heavy industries, and it's a sort of must have been good stuff. But I guess you worked for every client, not obviously for their Japanese clients, I guess.
I was focused on the global clients, so all the clients in Asia, European, American companies coming into the region, sponsors, financial sponsors, sovereign wealth funds, those kind of clients.
And so you came back to London, and you, I guess, British origin, and then you're now back in Singapore, and life is great in Singapore. I always admired the city. The Prime Minister is great, and also whenever I go there, I go to the Raffles hotel to have my Singapore slings and eat the peanuts, and I guess you still get punished if you throw the shells on the floor. It's still pretty tidy there, I guess.
Yeah. We try not to litter for sure. And please don't when you come here next.
yeah, but it's a great and all these fantastic buildings like this ship on top of like a skyscrapers. It's just super cool. But then they also have a pretty good pension system and the sort of system where you can put money in the account and withdraw it. And we have actually one of my friends, member of parliament, Elina Lepomäki, is trying to sort of replicate the Singapore model of like your own account system. But and we Finns, we have it quite good in the pension stuff. We have a universal pension where every Finn has almost 40,000 euros collectively saved. And then we sort of, the new generations put money, about 25 billion therein, and we withdraw about the same, and we have collected 200 billion of wealth in one of the biggest pension funds in the Europe. But I guess what you are trying to do now is you have taken a quite exciting advisory board position in Fintech. Could you tell me a little bit about this company?
Delighted to. It's actually probably one of the most massive privileges of my career. So the company is called pinBox Solutions, and you can find it at www.pinboxsolutions.com. Please do look us up. And pinBox Solutions is the world's largest, perhaps even the world's only, company that's focused on enabling low-income workers, especially low-income women, to live in old age in a far more dignified way by ensuring they have savings and a pension plan that they can rely on. It's the founders of the company are two great people, Gautam Bharadwaj and Parul Seth Khanna, and they were kind enough to ask me to join their advisory board, which again is made up of many eminent people who very much know this space, but also are keen to do the good that this company is trying to do in facilitating low-income workers to be able to have that dignified old age I spoke about earlier. But it's very much not only a good purpose, but it is very much a profitable enterprise as well. So we are indeed a fintech. We're live in Rwanda and Kenya, and we've just gone live in India.
Yeah, no, this fintech scene is great, and obviously banks like RBS will have it a bit tough because I also must admit I'm in the advisory board of a Finnish Swiss startup called Realstocks.io, and what we are trying to do with fintech, we are using tokenized blockchains to replace the real estate backed cash-like investment. So instead of holding your money in a bank account or having it in low yielding real estate bonds, you could own that asset class via the modern technology of blockchain, and cutting a lot of the cost and middleman in the process. So I guess what you also seeing in pinBox is that the world has come to a place where you don't need all this banking infrastructure, and you still need to have a compliance infrastructure, but it's all mobile and over the internet and secure. So I guess that's part of the pinBox as well.
It is. I mean, what I'd also though say is financial inclusivity is one of the big topics for the developing world. You know, a lot of the developed world, certainly the Nordics, where you have such a fabulous sovereign wealth fund or universal scheme, as you called it earlier, everybody has got a good endowment that they can rely on. But in the developing world, a lot of people are not able to access finance normally anyway. There's a lot of financial inclusivity that needs to increase. And indeed, you're therefore seeing a lot of fintechs that are coming up in the loan arena, which through their own credit modeling and AI can work out who they can give loans to who would otherwise not have had them before. You've had things like national ID cards, which also facilitate people to be onboarded and for businesses to use and work with them. And then, of course, our own part is it never existed before. Gautam and Parul have been working with governments to enable and think about this topic, but it really has not existed on a much larger scale or platform to the extent that we are now looking to do. So are we taking it from other people? No, we're sort of creating an ecosystem in a world that was otherwise being excluded. And that's probably the more incentivizing bit of it all. We know that these people would otherwise find it very difficult to be able to get access to this pot and security in their old age.
Yeah, and that's definitely a worthy case. At least in the Nordic countries, people like Hans Rosling and Steven Pinker have put a lot of facts on the table that actually the world is progressing on. The income levels of absolute poverty are sort of declining, and people are getting a decent income. Of course, a lot of work to be done, but I think the pension is one sort of a gray area where there hasn't been enough focus. So even if you get a decent or survival level income, you might still be left when you're old without no safety net. So this sounds very worthy cause.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Even in the developed world, we all talk about sustainability. Perhaps one very big component of it is actually going to be the longevity that we're all going to have. So people living a lot longer. Even in the developed world, will there be enough money to support people in old age? It's become an increasingly important topic at all governments, regardless of. I mean, Finland might be slightly different because of how wealthy your endowment is. I don't know, but certainly for other countries where the social welfare system needs to be funded by taxpayers, even in the developed world, has become more and more of a topic. And actually, it's, as I sort of step back into it, it's exactly these kind of themes that are probably the most invigorating part for me when I think about finance. I think finance has an amazing part to play in these evolving themes that the world is now facing. And that's very different to certainly how finance might have been viewed before the global financial crisis, for instance.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all changing. And I'm not sure if the Finnish pension system is the best in the world, but at least we have the 200 billion euros saved so it's not pay as you go. And as you might have noticed, the European Union has quite a different way of saving and using debt to sort of pay the benefits. And now we're trying to move to a federal model, which I guess the Britons sort of opted out in good and bad. But there's a lot of national variety, and I guess, can your platform handle that, or is it specific to certain countries?
No, the business is very much a multi-country business. Parul and Gautam have built it. We are live in Rwanda and Kenya already, just going live in India. We have people looking at it and focused on it in Latin America and other parts of the world. So no, it's very much looking to, as Parul and Gautam mentioned it's looking to save 1 billion people from poverty. So it's really right across multiple countries.
Yeah, great stuff. Then on this investment selection, so in Finnish system, the good and bad is that we have this 50 billion asset under management pension funds who do the allocations on behalf of everybody, and you don't have any say. So luckily they've been pretty decent people, so they have been able to generate 4% annual real return from consistent periods of time. But what I struggled with the Anglo-Saxon model is that if you have a defined contribution, I just put the sort of global replicative index of stock markets and a little bit of a yield component there, but I really struggled to make the optimal composition of assets. Is there an answer here you have here, like how you allocate the money?
I wish there was an answer here. There's the typical sort of answer. People say you skew more to equities the younger you are. You skew more to sort of debt and bonds the older you are. But I wish if I knew that answer, I would be the holy grail of investment.
Yeah, at least in the universal model, you can blame the funds if they screw up. It wasn't your fault. But that's a bit tough, especially times like this when the technology stocks are like going out of this world, and then you don't have any yield assets. So, or you have a negative interest yield assets. So, good luck in making an annuity portfolio when you're old and wish to draw money from the fund.
True.
But that's not part of your solution. So you kind of agnostic on the investments, but I guess you offer access to multiple choices there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That we work with the pension funds and other financial providers who provide the pensions.
Good stuff. So it's possible to combine a sort of hard ass carrier in the investment banking or corporate finance, like we have done, to sort of getting a bit more worldly view on developing the systems based on what we have learned on our journey in global finance.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I mean, you asked an interesting question there. So many years in banking, investment banking, and now, what next? And I guess what I'd say to that is, I feel very energized by what I feel finance can do. I was alluding to this earlier. So I've spent a bit of the last sort of few months thinking to myself about what is it that I'd like my career to now stand for in the next phase. And as I was saying earlier, when you think about the themes like sustainability, like longevity risk, the increasing digitalization that's happening to the world, there is so much here at a macro scale that finance is very central to enabling. And I think if we can find ourselves in roles that are part of that journey, it can be a very fulfilling career in not only bringing your finance skills in structuring that change, but also in knowing that what you are helping do is making such a big difference to these very large topics that the world faces.
Yeah, definitely. I think one topic which is kind of bringing this all together in the Nordics, at least, is impact investing. So basically, up until a couple of years ago, people were just viewing finance and even pensions as a kind of a financial game where you make returns and you take risks. But now there's a huge trend of actually making the investments to do something on the side, the impact part. So you either have a ESG goals, environmental goals, but then social goals, like what do you have here clearly here to sort of help people without access to pension systems to get a leg up in that value chain. So it's that's really exciting. So it's not all Wall Street anymore. It's actually combining the financial technology with broader values.
It is. I do think there's a lot more fulfillment that comes from those. But of course, deals are still very exciting. You're still a deal guy, Sami. You enjoy the thrill of those closings, and I'm sure that'll always be a core part of what finance still does. But so much is changing, right? The digital platforms that are now evolving are also, and you sort of alluded again earlier to this, they're changing. Some extra disintermediation is happening away from the banking sector, whether it's in the payments world or in the loan world because of AI. Then you have sustainability and longevity and other such themes that are coming through. And all these things are coming together at a time when the world itself is facing some very large macro topics and issues, whether it's geopolitical in Europe with Brexit or in the wider world with US and China. So all these things are also leading to supply chains being changed, norms of business being changed, whilst these broader social changes are also occurring. So I think it's a fascinating time to be a part of finance, providing you can be doing something with it that is very clear and it has a very clear outcome that you're aiming for. And that's what, for instance, I love about what pinBox Solutions are doing. It's very clear what they're trying to do, and we just need the support and help to go about doing that. But there are many other such companies, I'm sure, also going through the very same journey. Certainly, we see a lot of them here in Asia because a lot of people have not had so much financial inclusivity in Asia as is now possible.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then, by the way, this is a bit of a chance encounter almost after 8 years or so. But what's also fantastic in this world of finance and connectivity is that people in the sort of all over the globe are able to link up and then sort of share their stories and connections. And I would strongly encourage people to just do more of what we are doing, like exchanging notes and career paths and connections and ideas. So I think this is great and should be done much more.
I agree. Not possible years ago, but now so seamless and so easy.
Yeah, and by the way, this kind of I don't know if you have a small YouTube star in yourself, but I started this Negotiator channel 6 months ago, and it's been pretty cool. So I would strongly advocate people to take a bit of a risk and sharing stories, and it also makes the industry more sort of relatable when people sort of hear this side of the things as well, and it's not all about the Wolf of Wall Street and that kind of stuff.
No, you make a very, very good point there. I mean, I do think there's a long journey that finance has to go through post the GFC in many countries in making sure people understand how it's here for good. And there are many institutions that do a great job with this now, reaching out a lot further, helping people see how what they're doing can be very powerful for communities. People who've put a lot of time and effort into what this Corona crisis has brought in terms of disruptions to companies, how we've looked after them. So I think what we've seen finance do certainly over the last 6-9 months has been very encouraging and very pleasing to see. And hopefully as an industry, we've now helped economies and societies in some ways get through what has been a very, very tough time. I think there's still many tough roads ahead, and there'll be difficult choices that everybody has to make. But so far, I do think the financial ecosystem has done a very good job in trying to help out.
So now you sort of worked on this pinBox solutions, but then I'm sure you still have a young man and you have a lots of energy to do global finance and investment banking. What do you see you doing as a sort of day job in the future?
It's a very, very good question and very timely. I'm doing a lot of thinking around that. I agree with you. I do think I'm far too young to sort of hang my boots up and only do a board advisory or non-exec style role. So I do think there's more executive role in me. I guess what I'm hoping is I'm able to build a career that has still the fun and the adrenaline drive that comes from that executive role. Probably still in the finance world, maybe with sponsor related businesses or just in general corporate finance like I've been doing. So maybe something still with that. But I do like this opportunity that I now have to also make that a bit more complete by having things like the pinBox role that I can see its broader, even broader benefit to society. So yeah, so what I guess would be my ideal is to continue to have a career that in some way uses my finance capacity on that more day-to-day executive part that gives the thrill of the chase of the serving clients directly, as well as some of these more non-exec board style roles where you're helping the executives deliver on some very, very meaningful, very large and very game changing, whether they be technology oriented businesses, social causes. I'm lucky that the box combines the two, but you know there are a variety of things this world is now seeing that can be very fulfilling for people who are able to play a part of the board on that. So for me, the ideal is that kind of combination, an executive role that keeps me engaged with the type of finance I enjoy and working with the types of clients who I hope I can serve well as this sort of activity. Not too dissimilar to you, Sami.
Yeah, definitely. I was 13 years in London and some years in US, and now I think I'm back in Finland for good. But I guess you have this unique portfolio of having worked in London and Asia, and also on the global basis, and you understand the Chinese growth story. So, look, and Singapore is a great place to stay. Great stuff. So it's been good talking to you. I have had Sanjeev Kumar, advisory board member of pinBox Solutions. I will be putting in the show notes your links to your contacts and also your company. And it's great. We should do this more often. And everybody in our network, RBS, for example, we must have hundreds of common connections. So please reach out and suggest if you have similar ideas. And this is kind of fun to do. So thank you, Sanjeev. Great to have.
Thank you, Sami. I'm glad you've taken this initiative. It's very good to see. And I hope we'll see a lot more of these sorts of videos. Yeah,
definitely. Good stuff. So let's take it from there and have fun in Singapore.
Thank you, Sami.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Please subscribe.